Hello, I've been working on this for a while. I've let it sit way too long. In the past I had fired it up randomly on and off during the different seasons so that it would remain ready to rock and roll. Well, at some point I let it sit too long, and with only one battery in it that wasn't exactly up to snuff, it didn't want to start when it was 0 degrees, etc. And I thought waiting for warm weather would be a lot better than buying a new starter and all new glow plugs. Warm weather's been here for a while. I've replaced 6 glow plugs, and it still won't start. Now, I didn't just replace the glow plugs, I also put new connectors and the wires to the plugs, because simply the other ones were so weak and corroded that it just, I couldn't see how it would possibly be productive. But during my acquisition of parts for rebuilding this little monkey, I also purchased a PMD relocation kit. There's about, I don't know how many hundreds of videos on YouTube about how to do various tasks, etc. Unfortunately, I can't get at the 1357-2468. I can't get at 6 and 8 cylinder glow plugs without removing the inner fender. I've removed most of the hardware, but this is a 1998 K3500. It's a 1-ton dually, and this baby's running. It is sweet, but when it struggles, it struggles. And unfortunately, most of the time I let it sit. It's sitting in grass, etc., in the yard. Actually, it's grass growing through the gravel, but it doesn't matter. There's a lot of moisture that comes up, wicks up, and attacks the metal. So we have rust. Plus, living in a northern state, to use calcium chloride on the roads, and it just oxidizes the daylights out of everything. Now, there's 2 different ways to replace the PMD module harness and relocation kit. First off, right here, if we follow this guy, this is your PMD right here. Goes forward, and there's the aft side. Now, down below on the aft side is where the connector is. Now, I know this thing used to work. This truck only has 156,000 miles on it, so as far as the diesel goes, it's not even broken in yet. Or just barely broken in. But this is the injection pump. Fuel pump brings fuel from the tank to here, and it times and meters and pressurizes, blah blah blah. I can go into the science, but I don't want to spend 10 hours of explaining a simple 1-hour theory. There's YouTube for y'all to find that out. Now, at one time, this right here, this is the fuel shutoff solenoid, right here, right on the top. I think that's a little bit iffy. There's 2 rules of thought. One, that this is causing the problem, and there's other things. There's a lot of individuals that say replace everything. And they're usually dealerships that say that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here. It's back here. And I've removed the intake manifold. Actually, it's really fast to do it that way. You have a couple of bolts, a couple of clamps, remove the wires, and if you're fortunate, the gasket will come off relatively clean. And you just wipe down the intake manifold side and for the gasket area, and then you also wipe off the the inlet, the snorkel, whatever they want to call it. Now I'm noticing there's an incredible amount of oil in there, and that tells me that there's a valve that goes back in here that assists to provide a negative pressure in the crankcase. You have a pressurized blower pressurized system. In this case, it's a turbocharged. How it's pressurized, but you have pressure going into the engine, and if you don't have a way to balance that pressure, at the absolute least, equalize it with a -1 atmosphere. Actually, it could be a -0.001. It just has to be a negative atmosphere to the crankcase. There's multiple theories for that, and I actually like all of them. One is that it brings the oil mist, etc. It's going to happen. So do we vent it to the atmosphere, or do we reintegrate it back into the combustion system? I like putting it back into the combustion system. However, here's an example. Look at all this. This was coming in through the intake, and what's all this crankcase oil doing up, going down into the intake, etc.? It would explain why I was always struggling under power and dumping out a bunch of smoke. It's just the way that it goes. At first I thought the turbo might have been an issue, but once I cracked the front face and got in there, yes, power off, etc., this baby spins super free. It is a slick little unit. So I'm going to play. I was about to say no play, but pretty much not. But once it's heat, but it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the connector. There's two different schools of thought. One is to bring a screwdriver in on the manifold, driver's side of the manifold, right behind one of the bolts, and catch the clip which would be this one right here. See, you have a harness similar to this down underneath. It plugs into the PMD, the fuel module. So what I will be doing is removing that and then plugging it into this extension, which will go to the new module. Actually, it plugs into this, bam, and this is simply goes into the new module, which I'll relocate somewhere. I doubt that my old PMD is the difficult cold start problems. However, with a new one, and if it fires right off, I'd be super happy. I'd be happy with that. Okay, enough of this. So the adventure is I'm going to be able to go down. I look straight down. With this manifold off, straight down, I can get at it with a screwdriver and pop it back. But first I'm going to get either a claw. I have one of those little claw thingies you can grab things with. I'm either going to grab that. It has a tendency to drop, or I'm going to go grab make a fabricated coat wire hook. And I believe I'll go with the coat wire hook. That would be the best deal. So I'm going to pause the video and go grab a couple of tools and get to it.